It's the time for the package from China. Let's go! But this is just like a very interesting way you can even play AV out, but also HDMI. And I want to particularly focus on the HDMI functionality. These things come in very nice boxes. But how is it with the overall quality? And does this thing smell any chemical? Because some of them are really horrible. They will include 6-button controllers and they're also wireless. However, when you're looking at the quality, this is not the same things that we have like Retrobit or other brands. We do have the floating D-pad, but the controller feel is really bad. You cannot switch in between play 1 and play 2. What you see is what you're getting. And the controller quality is pretty poor. However, this has a compartment for 2 AAA batteries. Will give you a couple of hours of play time, depending on what kind of, let's say, batteries you're using. They're including a European over here and power supply, but the voltage is kind of weird, having something of 7.5 volts. So okay, so it's going to be a nightmare if you need to find a replacement for this freaking thing. So there is no toilet paper manual today. This is the only thing we're getting. And here we have this newer version, or this is what they're claiming, the HD Ultra wireless gamepad, on-and-off switch. This thing is very lightweighted. We do have the slider for the stereo. This is kind of cool that they even implemented this. 2 ports for controllers, so we can use original ones. The downside is there is no option for the CD option. So it's kind of a stupid thing that they do have this removable cover, but there is no way that we can actually use it. So you cannot upgrade it with something else. In here we're having AV out, we have an HDMI out, input for the power supply. We do have a region switch over here for different regions. So that's kind of cool. But that's it. It says over here the Mega Drive Genesis from Retroid. That's a company that has released a more premium, let's say that's not like going to be Sega quality, but a little bit more premium when it comes to the overall quality. It starts with the dust covers. If you're going to be looking at it very closely, you can just see that they don't even close that great. So it's one of those quality things. Another checkup that we need to do is how is it with the game cartridges. Can we just plug them in and remove them fairly easy? You can just hear that the pins are squeezing the cartridges, but removing them is going to be a pain like always. But first impression is absolutely horrible, and that has a simple reason, because we do have interference throughout the HDMI connection. Yep, this is one of those things I have seen before with Super NES models, but never seen with the Sega. So we're going to be using a different monitor to see if this is an HDMI problem itself or the monitor. However, the controller, that's another story. So where this thing does work, but it is old technology, so we need to point it towards the console to actually get anything going on. But the unfortunate part is, even if we're going to be getting a different older monitor with HDMI, the problems lies into the Sega Genesis of China. So that's a little bit of a downside when it comes to this. So the only thing that we can actually do is getting into the switch, maybe reset that. If this is like a software part, that's the next thing we can do. But you can see we still have some vibration going on. So, yep, they sent me another faulty product. And it happens a lot when it comes to these things from China sometimes. So I wanted to try out another thing. So let's see if we can plug in an original controller. But this original controller also doesn't work at all. Yep, we're off to a great start. So let's see what happens if we're going to be removing the batteries. So there is no communication even possible through the fake controller, because this thing is absolutely horrible too. But nope. Okay. Ah, there we go. So when you're going to be plugging in a controller, you need to make sure that this thing doesn't have any batteries whatsoever. And it's getting only worse throughout the game. Oh man, it's such an annoying thing that is like none of those, let's say, freaking things work normally. So this thing that I can see when you're looking at the image quality is not super bad. Also, aspect ratio is not possible throughout the system itself, another epic fail, but you know, this glitching thing is completely unnecessary. And I don't understand why they completely messed this part up. So let's try a different game, let's see if this keeps doing. Maybe it's a problem with the game itself. But somehow with the Xenocrisis game we had some issues. We don't have this with the Turtles Tournament Fighter. When I'm looking at, let's say, the colors and everything, it seems to be looking quite good. But later on, maybe it would be a fun thing to do in comparison with, let's say, a retro skater or an original system with a cheap upscaler, just see how it compares to each other. When it comes to emulation, or at least we call this emulation, the gameplay itself. So let's move on to some original games with the Sonic the Hedgehog. But you can just hear that the audio is not like supposed to be. That sound, that sounds completely off. But so far, actually playing the game, so let's move on to another homebrew game. This is Street Rage 2 with Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Let's see if it also has the flickering thing going on, or does it work perfectly? Okay, no, it does work perfectly. So that's kind of interesting to see. Oh, that sound. Oh. But let's do some quick tests. First of all, the flash card. Let's see if we can actually boot up the flash card and can we play a game. And it seems to be that it's going to be booting up. That's great, play a game. Ha! Okay, so that means that we do have the need for the switch. Let's reset it. Let's see if it resets into the game or the flash card. Okay, boots up the game. Ah, there we go. So that seems to be working great. Yep, we can flash games, we can play them on this, no problem whatsoever. And the region switch also seems to be working fine. Of course, the sound effects are exactly the same result. But let's move on to something else. Let's have some fun with this. So let's grab the cartridge. Let's switch it back to, I think this is now set to the PAL region. Let's see if this thing does anything. There we go. Is this with the Sonic 3 Knuckles? Yep, so it also supports the combination cartridge. And then, of course, last but not least, we have the multi-game card. So I've been trying to get this thing to work before recording, because I wanted to test some stuff. But it takes forever to actually get something going on. There we go. And let's choose some basic gaming. And it indeed start up the game as it is. So it's compatible with flash cards, but also with multi-game cards.